Changing Futures, seeing Vini, take one.
It's hard to know where to start, and but I'm very glad to be given a voice here. I'll just very quickly go through my own personal experience, and I had 2 bouts of a clinical depression, a depressive illness, which I'd had for 2 years before it was diagnosed. I was first diagnosed in 1974, and I found it very, very, very difficult and tough. I lost my job, but then I was quite glad I lost my job because I wanted to play my own music on the guitar. And I was a clerical officer doing the telephone accounts, which was not really my thing at all, obviously. So the illness did me a big favour. The second time it came back was a bit of a double blow, but somehow it dissipated for a while, but it did have me beat, and I'll admit on camera, I gave up. I gave up. Yeah, it did have me beat. It's the only time in my life. So you don't allow yourself. You can't naturally ever give up. It's not in you. It's like even if it's a physical confrontation, you never allow yourself to even feel those 3 stupid words. I give up. You can't. It's not a natural thing. And that's how we normally are. But it says something about the power of depression, from which how many millions of people go through an experience. Sometimes they're not diagnosed through no fault of their own. I was very, very lucky, incredibly lucky. I tried something called passive suicide. The details of that I won't go into, but then that left me to then experience through circumstances something that left me with post-trauma symptoms or post-traumatic stress syndrome or post-traumatic stress condition, whatever. And that means I have an eating disorder. But the eating disorder has been very controlled. I still to this day take my medication, which is antidepressants, and I had an amazing life of ridiculous privileges and some incredible luck in people who helped me and gave me, for no apparent reason, none I've ever been able to come up with. Just very, very lucky. And in some instances, if I was to describe, even though I'd be factually correct, some of the things that have happened for me through other people's amazing just loveliness and kindness and goodness and belief and all that. Nobody would, literally, if I read someone, if there was an account of this, I absolutely would not believe them, because it's too hard to believe how lucky. I mean, look, it is ridiculous. And so I had an ischemic attack, and then another one, which are kind of like minor strokes, and then I had a third full stroke, which left me disabled. I have permanent brain damage, but I'm aware of how my brain is damaged, and I'm aware of the damage to my brain. But people who have brain damage, and it's similarly to depression, if you are the one with a damaged brain, when you have a sort of glitch, when your brain is not working, it's precisely because it's your brain that is not working that you don't know that your brain is not working, and which confuses everyone. And it confuses me. But that happens less and less, and I've been improving because I was very lucky to have a stroke that wasn't too bad, and there was nothing really. And it's taken 12 years, but I've regained the ability to play guitar again through muscle memory, which I learnt muscle memory through a martial art form taught me by a very good friend who was himself receiving lessons. I had a lot of training in that, which is relevant now because I'm 69 years of age and I'm disabled, except that I feel perfectly able to do things that I need to do, and I'm independent, and playing my guitar again, playing my tunes, which is all I've ever wanted to play, or I have done. And there's it's a huge difference. I wish people generally, the general public, with the weight of public opinion and the silent majority who remain silent, not their fault, but I wish that we could get them to understand that there's a big difference between a stroke victim or someone who is a victim of depression and a stroke survivor, and a survivor of anything at all. And that is important, because if you give someone who has a problem, no matter what that problem is, if you stop thinking of them as a victim and think of them as someone who could survive if they had a tiny, tiny bit of help, relatively speaking, then maybe people will be motivated and be given motivation by the vast majority of human beings who have the ability to empathize. And I think the ability to empathize is becoming more and more relevant and more important the more that we are digitizing our own humanity away from ourselves, as long as we allow ourselves to digitize each other in the form of text messages and social media and computer things. It's like we're almost reducing our emotions to binary code, which is ridiculous, and it is silly. So for all like everything else, that technology and man's ingenuity, because we have an imagination and we're able to think creatively and inventively, which is the biggest thing that separates us from animals. And because of that, we have become what we have become. Our brains are still developing in more complex, incredible ways, but we are part of evolution, which we are wrecking by that same ability of inventiveness and so on. I mean, what was the first thing we did when we came this amazing, leaping in our understanding when we split the atom? It made possible all the good it made, but one of the first things we did, an atom bomb. And that's rather like human nature. And you can almost apply Newton's law of motion in a philosophical sense, in that every force is always an equal and opposing force. And for every energy, there's an equal and opposing energy. And you can apply that in every way you can think. And if you think about it, we live and we exist reflectively, reactively. We are not instigative. We never instigate. What happens when a new baby is born? You will cry because of possibly the trauma of birth trauma or whatever. But there's a reason as to why the baby cries. Why do you do anything you do? Because of something. Everything, even if you think, you've done something which is absolutely original, because you could imagine something which no one else could. You can only ever imagine something if you already have it imagined and then proven that, oh, yeah, okay, well, that thing I was able to imagine is true, or then I can also imagine even further. But you are always reactive, never ever instigative. To instigate any feeling, any act, any emotion, any thought, any conscious thought, there has to be something there first. And it's rather like if you try to draw a straight line with just a pencil on a blank piece of paper, it's very difficult. However, if there's already a perfect, fairly straight, perfect straight line. For example, say with a children's school ruler, child's school ruler, well then you can, by drawing your own parallels as you are drawing your line, you can draw a much straighter line. What is the shortest distance between 2 points? How is the quickest way you can get to something? How is time to be measured? How does it go quickest? In a straight line. Those are the laws of physics, and they are correct. And you can apply the laws of physics which run concurrently with the laws of nature, natural laws. And so which is why I think we should try somehow to negate the way that we're digitizing things and the way that we're reliant so much on technology, just for our own sense of humanity. Because the more we lose those natural ways, the less we have of our natural, normal ways of empathizing. And if you can somehow help people to empathize, then governments, for example, would actually act, because you'd feel their natural sense of empathy would click in, and they go, well, I have to do something. And it's something that it's an idealistic idea, I know that, but it's something to sort of think about. Empathy is fantastic, and it's completely different. As everyone will know this, I'm stating the obvious, I know, but the last thing that you can help anybody with or by is sympathy. All you're doing is reaffirming in someone that what they're going through is awful, and you're sympathetic. Oh God, that must be terrible. Which is, then the person immediately thinks, God, it must be terrible. Wow, and they feel even worse. So you don't do that. Instead, you empathize, and then you think and use your brain, the most complex organism on this planet, using 80% of your energy, and you think, how can I motivate this person from being in this terrible, awful, negative frame of mind that they've been made to feel by pain, emotional pain, physical pain, conditions that they're living through? Well, sometimes you can make them angry. Anger is also positive, as long as it's contained. I mean, what's a little baby do when it's frustrated? It will tip its meal from its high chair onto the floor. And people often, women particularly, who are not particularly violent, will hurl plates at the wall, which is releasing stress and tension. So you find a way of channeling the frustration that pain causes in a way that could be physical. Even that is better than sympathy. Or empathizing, you can empathize in as many different ways as there are personalities and people. And every one of us is a one-off, a unique. There's only ever been one of every person. There only ever has been, there only ever will be. We are an important person. It does not matter how people want to judge you. And in any case, we know we can't blame people how they are, because first you'd have to judge them. How can you judge anyone? And you can't say, well, I blame the parents, because then you'd have to blame the parents of those parents. You can never judge. And I think also, well, just another point, snobbery is, okay, it's caused by just ignorance, that's all. But inverted snobism is far worse, because we already know what it's like. So inverted snobism I don't think is very good. It's worse, I think, than snobbery. You know, these are just like random thoughts. But one thing I'd like to say is that if you give a person, an individual person, not you, if you give someone who is perceived to be being bad, behaving badly, antisocially, if you give a person a chance or a way of being good or feeling good, then generally speaking, it's normal, even for people who you think are bad, beyond redemption. If you find a way for people to be good, we will always, and this is also like a law of physics, we will always gravitate towards good rather than evil. It's just sometimes that we can't find a way to give or to show or to teach people or show people how to be good. And if you don't have a way of being good, and you've been conditioned by so many different factors that might alter the way you perceive other people and so on and so forth, well, then you're not going to help. And I don't think writing people off is a good idea, and governments are, you know, we see them as having the power. We have the vote, we have power. John Lennon was not a fool. People have the power. We have that. We have the vote. We have that weight of public opinion. And that's why you either use it or lose it. That's why we have to vote. And no matter whatever disarray Labour as a political movement may be in at the moment, if you just keep voting Labour, rather than the way that you support your football team when it's performing badly, then they have to get their act together because they've got you behind them. And as for the disenfranchised who don't vote, well, that's a waste thing. And the less the vote is used, you lose it, or you use it or you lose it. And I just would love people to think. I think it's just something else that just occurs to me. It's like I loved all the hippie philosophy, because although it was only idealistic, it couldn't actually realistically occur. But I think peace and love, great, but you first have to have a basis. So that basis would have to be truth in the form of facts, hard evidence, evidentially based truth. And then so it would run truth. If we had the truth about everything, about people, about what is occurring, well then maybe there'd be enough common ground in the truth for a little bit of more of a chance of a little bit more peace. And if you have enough peace, and then gradually more and more peace, then you'd have a little bit more love. And so there will be more and more love, and love does create love, as hate creates hate. And you can't hate because it's counterproductive, and you can't allow yourself to hate, and especially not yourself. And you can't judge, and you can't blame because you'd have to judge. And I just think it's, if you try and bear in mind and keep focused on the ideas that you're a human being and you can forgive yourself some things, but you're constantly judging yourself. You know, we're doing things that when we're unaware of them, that they're just subconscious. An example of that would be paying compliments. When you pay a compliment, you're sort of buying some sort of self-approval or approval for yourself from the person you're paying a compliment to, even though you're not really aware that you're doing that. And so, just to be honest, you can be just, you know, nice. And I think I prefer people who are nice far more than I prefer people who are exceptionally clever, because I'm trying to think of a tiny bit of a funny rhyme, which is I'm never so clever as to be too clever to be nice. And it's cleverer, more intelligent just to be nice. And nice is a word that's not hip now, it's not trendy, it's not trending, but niceness is something that I think is important, just being nice, being a human being and treating another human being, you know, with some empathy, then you can, it helps you to understand them and you can relate. And you'll find incredible amounts of common ground, commonality and humanity. And you have more humanity because we're social beings. And the more you have that kind of social interaction based on common ground that you would find if you empathize, if you can empathize. And those are things which, as principles, it would be great for this society, which is not a society. Society is a misnomer right now, because if we are to be a society, then there has to be a collective responsibility, and inclusivity, and all the things that make up what a society actually does mean, the true meaning of that. And I think when you have problems and things that seem you know, insurmountable, you can't get through them, they're too hard. When you get through them, which you will, if you have, maybe it could be the smallest thing, just to reaffirm whatever you've lost that has made you want to give up. Well, then you will survive, you won't be a victim, and you'll be stronger, far, far stronger. And you could almost construct an equation in the same way as, almost like the laws of physics work, where you lose some amount of confidence or self-belief or self-worth, and then that loss there will be an equal and opposing amount of something which you need, and that you will get, if you're lucky, which is a tiny, tiny bit of something that will give you some kind of, or replace that sense of loss or self-hurt with some self-love. Just think we should help each other and help anybody and everybody. And the people we should love more, and the people we really do and should love, if we had any sense of the people who are behaving in the worst ways, why are they behaving in those ways? Because they've not had enough love. If they don't know what love is, give it to them. The people you love are the people who everyone doesn't like. Even if you yourself recoil from them, love them in a way that is appropriate for them to understand and feel is okay somehow, and is any form of love. I think, and I know that's very, I know it's idealism, but it is a way of trying to make that realistic. What you guys are doing is exactly that, because you're giving it a voice and you're doing what Mick does, Mick Stephs, who is the reason I'm here. This is how I came to be here. Because Mick goes and photographs people who, you know, the general public does look through them, they're invisible. What Mick is doing is personalizing, giving the person, it's making someone who is just anonymous, and people can look at a portrait and they can see a person, a human being. And as long as you see the person, when you can see them, you immediately, you're shocked. And I found Mick's photographs do that somehow, because he connects. He doesn't judge, it's impartial, there's an accepting way about Mick. And it's just why he gets what he gets. And which is some kind of honesty from human beings who normally would just clam up like that. And if they stand at a camera, which I know I spent my whole life doing that. You know, when you play a guitar or jump on a stage or make a record, that immediately you're being photographed all the time. And all the photographs, or most of the photographs that were taken of me, I'm hiding. You know, we have very sophisticated smoke screens when we're going through something that's not possible to talk about. And so I want to thank Mick and thank all of you and anyone who actually watches any of this and listens for having open minds and including me and accepting me here with all these amazing human beings. Every single one of you are, because you're here, and that means as you prove. The fact that you're here, you're doing what you're doing, never stop. You have no idea who you're helping and how you're helping them. Help you can't measure in incremental amounts. Help is help, and love is love, and truth is truth. And they are immutable. No one can alter them. And they are truth, and they are real. And if I say anything to all of you, is truth, which what I've done, I've just told the truth, facts, which is a form of love in my own way. So thank you for that. Can I play? Because when we play something, art, any form of art, it has to have expression, and art only exists, and a piece of music is only ever music during and as and whilst other people or another person, not just the person playing the guitar, is listening to it. Rather as an exhibition of Dutch masters, great works of art. They are no longer art when the art gallery is closed, because, for the evening, for the night, because they're not expressing anything. Art is only art when and as and during and whilst it is expressing something. It can only express anything when another person is looking into that piece of art and studying the painting and making of that what they make of it. It's a two-way process, and again, Newton's law of motion. a law of physics. We should not be seen in terms of laws of physics, but as just nature, a natural reactive thing. Art can only express something when another person is making of whatever it's expressing to that person. It's then art. It's not in existence. It's in existence. It's not in existence unless and until and whilst another person's there. It's no longer art when the art gallery has closed. And you guys are almost like a life gallery, a humanity, a gallery maybe, in the same way as art. All the expression and the human expression, the entire range of human expression, you're giving that a way to be expressed for every one of us. And that is, what price do you put on that? We don't have price now in this room. There are no price tags. We're all human beings. And that is more important than you know. Or maybe you do know, which is why you're here. And all we ever know is is all we don't know. And possibilities, they're always there when other people give those possibilities of thinking to you. If you make a thought possible, then you have more possibility of thinking that thought, a conscious thought, and then you're more aware of more. And that's it really. And there's lots of stuff that I know you can't use there, but thank you very much. I'm humbled for real, because you listened, and I'm included, so thank you. So can I say something with this little piece of wood, because that's how I say things, all the depression stuff. It gave me something to say with my music, and the only way of saying it is with music, really for me. So I want to say something on that. Okay.
Go further, Neil.
Okay. Can I rip this chair?